It's game time, we ain't playing with you. It's game time, it's game time, we ain't playing with you. That's how we ball for y'all.
What up, what up, what up, what up? You rocking with Duke Bob. Yo, thanks for joining for episode 102. 112. Yeah, so it's like, what topics to get into, man? I think the best thing to get into probably, like we always do, we still paying attention to this war. It finally came to agreement. It said it looks like, Iran and Donald Trump, they came to agreement to probably open up the stray and, cut this war. But it looks like a bribe. Everybody's like, "Oh, it looks like a bribe," because there was some circulation. I mean, it's just the fact that it feels like if we're gonna pay to get out this war, what was the reason why we was in it? A lot of people want to know. A lot of people want to know that, but and it looks like, and they're not showing us what the exact details are of the agreement that they're trying to come to with Iran. But Iran, it's gonna look like they happy. Probably they would be happy. What looks like whatever deal that we're bringing to the table, because there was some rumors saying they're paying open the funds that we froze. We're gonna release their funds. What it was $25 billion funds, and on top of that, they were saying some $300 billion to rebuild their destruction of all the destruction that we did in the war. And, I don't see that being a good deal because people were saying that, oh, well, yeah, they're saying that people are gonna might use that money just to rebuild their military. I mean, is that funding their whole infrastructure to make them stronger again? 'Cause that's a lot of money, 300 billion. But it was an interesting take when somebody put that in perspective. Because it looks like, did we really? Are we winning the war? Are we doing something like that?
Lost the Iran war, and the deal that's just been signed at the G7 in France confirms it. We now know that this deal lifts US sanctions on Iran, gives Iran access to $25 billion that is currently frozen in overseas accounts, promises a further $300 billion in reconstruction funds, and lifts the American blockade of Iran's ports. Okay, it does also reopen the Strait of Hormuz, which will avert potentially catastrophic damage to the world economy. And yes, it does also commit Iran to further talks on ending its nuclear program. But the strait was open before the war started, and Iran was negotiating over its nukes as well. When Trump began this war, his aims were clear: topple the regime, degrade its military, end its support for proxies, end its ballistic missile program, and ensure it never gets a nuke. This deal achieves none of those things. Iran's regime is more hardline than ever, and it has just been given one hell of a financial lifeline. It will no doubt use that money to start rebuilding its military and missiles, and to fund its proxies. And perhaps most importantly, Iran has learned that it can outlast and outmaneuver the US when it comes to negotiations. I rather suspect these nuclear talks will go nowhere very slowly. If that's not losing, then I would like to know what is. America lost the
So, I mean, that that's bad. It just the fact that we gotta pay them to get out the war, that doesn't look too good. Um, so we need to see what would have been in this deal, because but Donald Trump and JD Vance, they said they retracted, saying, no, there wasn't no $300 billion. There's no way we're gonna pay them $300 billion. Oh, I mean, the Democrats wasn't going to sign off that.
Yeah, they're going to
Yeah,
have
so I'd
access to a
say,
$300 billion reconstruction fund. True or false?
Well, and that's the sort of thing they could have access to, funded by the Gulf Coast Coalition, so long as they honor their end of the obligation.
Okay, so is the U.S. giving Iran $300 billion as part of a deal to end the war? The Trump administration says no, that is not true, with the president writing on True Social that is fake news, and the vice president addressing it in the briefing room.
You will hear things about $300 billion or $24 billion or this or that number of money or amount of money. And the simple fact is that the only way the Iranians get any of those resources, not a single penny, by the way, from the United States of America, is if they comply fully and change their behavior.
One part of the 14-point memorandum of understanding signed by President Trump and Iranian leaders is $300 billion in economic relief for Iran's reconstruction. Now, the U.S. says it will work with regional partners to set that up, but a senior official has denied that the U.S. would put up any money itself. So while it seems that Iran will have access to a $300 billion fund at some point, that fund isn't necessarily coming from the United States. But even so, members of Congress have already expressed their concerns about that.
Are you concerned about this $300 billion rehabilitation fund for Iran?
I am. History demonstrates that giving billions of dollars to theocratic lunatics who want to murder us is an exceptionally bad idea. And I think, unfortunately, the president is receiving some really bad advice on this deal.
Iran gets $300 billion to rebuild, which they'll use some of it to support things that we don't care for.
And look, a lot is still left to be negotiated over the course of the next 60 days when intensive talks will take place, some of them expected to be in person, with Vice President Vance leading the U.S. team.
The Iranians are saying,
Hell no, that's a bad idea. They know that's bad. So when you got the Republicans and you got Democrats agreeing, there we go. That's what we need. We need to agree. But yes, there's no way in hell that we're gonna give them $300 billion. And you think they're gonna use all their $300 billion to rebuild their destruction? No, they're gonna use that to rebuild their military, rebuild their regime, like so they can keep it stronger. So with that being said, after all that talk saying, yeah, we came to an agreement, we're opening up the strait. Now, all of a sudden, they still couldn't get on, they still couldn't abide by the agreement with the ceasefire. So now the strait is closed again. So that was part of the deal. One of the deal was to open up the Strait of the Hormuz. So with that being closed again, I don't think there's any deal. There shouldn't be no deal. There shouldn't be no money. There shouldn't be anything. And I feel like we are not where we're supposed to be. So stay up it closing again.
Breaking news. Iran has closed the Strait of Hormuz again following Israeli strikes in Lebanon, raising fears of a new crisis in the Middle East. Iran says the Israeli attacks violated the terms of a recently signed ceasefire agreement and accused the United States of failing to ensure that all sides respected the deal. In response, Iran's top military command announced that the strategic waterway would once again be closed to shipping. The Strait of Hormuz is one of the most important waterways on Earth. Roughly 1/5 of the world's oil and a significant amount of liquefied natural gas pass through this narrow channel between Iran and Oman. Any disruption there immediately sends shockwaves through global energy markets and raises concerns about fuel prices and inflation worldwide. The closure also puts the fragile peace deal between Washington and Tehran under serious pressure. Reopening the strait was one of the key elements of the recent agreement designed to reduce tensions and prevent a wider regional war. By shutting it again, Iran is signaling that it is willing to use one of its most powerful sources of leverage to pressure both the United States and Israel. However, there is still uncertainty about what the announcement means in practice. A senior U.S. defense official said there were no immediate signs of Iranian military activity preventing ships from passing through the waterway. In other words, the declaration may be intended as a political warning as much as a military action. The message from Tehran is clear. As long as fighting continues in Lebanon and the ceasefire remains under strain, the Strait of Hormuz could once again become the center of a global economic and geopolitical crisis.
So that even shows all this war is not even to deal with USA. They're dealing with Iranian, they're dealing with other country that has nothing to do with us. Well, actually, they're tying us because we're close to their allies. But how do you have these fake deals and I guess that was part of the negotiation with the ceasefire, but with Lebanon and they just go ahead and do whatever they want to do. So it just shows you the power that Iran has on the USA now, and what is our next step from here? Like, we go back to the tables again? We go back to the drawing board of the negotiation? Because if they were getting this type of money and they was getting a good deal, even if they bombed again, it's not about the money. You know, it's about the power. I'm thinking it's morally about the power, and they're holding this trade by opening and closing it over us. Now they have the power to it. So in this war, before the war, it was always open. So now they found something that really is going to affect us because it's still affecting us with the gas prices. It's still affecting us with different supply. They're saying, oh, they just let a whole bunch of oil through. Okay, they good. They let a bunch of oil through, but now it's closed. So that they see how it's going to affect us throughout the daily day, and this is part of the deal that they were going to have. What happened? What happened? You know, it's like it's always next. We never know. Next week is open. Next week is closed. It's like you gave them something to play with. And if we're supposed to be the USA, you're not supposed to play with us at all. But we got to keep paying attention. We pay attention, see what's going on next, and it's gonna be open. It's gonna be closed. Oh man! But we know what is open. Man, SpaceX, the largest IPO. So hey, that made the first trillionaire now. Elon Musk is now he is one of the first trillionaires. Woo. I mean, we know SpaceX is going to be definitely part of the future. The question is it here now? Is that a good thing to invest in now? That's what everybody's thinking about. Like, where's the money coming from? But SpaceX is definitely Starlink. That's definitely holding a strong equity of SpaceX, and he have other entities that he broke it down that it's people thinking about. You still have his AI that he's invested in with Rock. You still have the different space things that he's talking about with the data in space. These cooler centers is the best way to the next way to keep all his data is probably just put it in space. So there's different things that SpaceX is definitely going to be a part of, and then also the traveling with the rockets. That's the big thing with the launch and everything like that, and people traveling to space, and it's trying to I've been talked about. I'm trying to build different things in space. That's going to be definitely bound to align. Just don't know if it's going to be it looks like it's gonna be like a 5 to 10 year type of adventure and investment, but everybody was talking about what's gonna happen to that stock, but so what made jokes about it. Jimmy made yeah Jimmy Kimmel made jokes about it because he's saying $1 trillion. Think about it.
First ever trillionaire in the history of the world. I'll hold for applause. Okay. I mean, we know a trillion is a number, but it's so large. You get the same way we can't fathom it. The same way we know, like Elon has a lot of kids, but we can't fathom him getting laid, right? So let me try to illustrate it. If you tried to count out loud to a trillion, you would be counting until the year 33,736. $1 trillion is $10 billion $100 bills. If you stack them up, the pile would be almost 700 miles high, as tall as 123 Mount Everest. With that kind of money, Elon could buy every NFL team, all of them, and he'd still have $773 billion left, which he could use to buy all 30 Major League Baseball teams, every NBA team, every Wendy's, every Target store, the Beatles' entire music catalog. He could buy Nike, Macy's, and every Hyundai Elantra ever produced. And when still have $260 billion, $50 million left over.
So yeah, that type of money. But they need, with this new push of AI, it's gonna cost money. It's gonna cost money, and damn near he throws away billions of dollars every month, regardless, launching rockets and things like that. So, uh, he's definitely using it to play around to bring it to the next level of the technology. So that's something that we keep an eye on. And then also people are talking about, OpenAI. OpenAI is planning to soon launch their IPO, and it's looking pretty, what, like 693 billion, like These numbers are crazy, you know. So it's a lot of these companies with AI. They're predicting a lot of money that they're going to be generating when they actually get to where they want to get to it. It's another 10 to 20 years. So it's definitely going to be changing the world. I'd say definitely the world will be changed in another 10 years. When it comes to AI, you know, and that's why I always talked about AI and just a little bit of things and how everything's already shifting when it comes to AI. You know, when it comes to just the software, different technology, even different communication with people with AI. You know, I talked about the different chats that they have that people fall in love. You know, and the different relationships people developing with AI. It's gonna open up a different way of the world, even from working. You know, and like I said, I always talk about different jobs are going to be affected. You're gonna have to work with AI. You're gonna learn another technique with AI. So it's going to be um a different world, an interesting thing. But you can see how now they're trying to push their stocks on it. You know, because these companies needs more money because it's costing so much money that they're trying to get this thing off the ground. So now they have to open it up to the public to help. Even when they had it privately for their investors, that's not enough still. So they figure, you know, open it up to the world, bring a bunch of money together, and then get this thing even going faster than what they expected. So everybody's paying attention to that. Everybody's paying attention to the stock market. We're gonna see. We're gonna see what's gonna go on. Happy. What's gonna happen with that? But without further ado, let's talk about the Knicks, man. Yo, congratulations to the New York Knicks, man. Well, man, go New York, go New York. You know, so for them to win, you know, 2026 NBA championship, they definitely had a hard road to come, especially over what is 50 years. It's remarkable, you know, from just being always that close, but it's finally here. You know, it's finally here. So, you know, so they had the parade. They had the parade in New York City, and I mean, the people I got, you know, like I said before, there's gonna be like Gotham City, you know, people's gonna tear things down. But surprisingly, you know, it wasn't too bad. I think they said only got like 4 people got stabbed, and only got one person got shot and in the foot, and so it wasn't, you know, it wasn't that big of a crime. That really happened. You know, I seen a bus on fire. You know, it's not too bad. You know, everybody looked like they was just happy and and cheering in the spirit. But let's get some highlights of the parade that happened. You know, let's get some highlights of the parade.
Knew the Knicks parade was gonna be wild. Turns out the word wild would do it no justice. We have just witnessed a woman twerking on the pedestrian walk signs. Now Katrina and Karen done made eye contact. Karen ain't want Katrina's nasty ass toes on her and pushed her leg off. Well, she tried to at least. Girl, get your goddamn hands off me. Karen wasn't going for none of that. She got up trying to hand out a spanking. Thank God I ain't bring the kids to this shit. And then we got Mikhail Bridges in the De'Aaron Fox jersey. Broden got him one of them Airbud dogs. That shit's so wholesome. And then you got Big Purr in the mayor. Lean back. Lean back, lean back. And you already know they was gonna commandeer a couple police cars. I seen multiple NYPD vehicles taken over by civilians. I know NYPD don't watch basketball, cause how the fuck you ain't know that was Tyler Coley? Look, they thought bro was Morgan Wallen or something. I'm on the fucking team, dude. Yeah, tell it to the judge. And Chick-fil-A once again proved why their customer service is superb. Rain, sleet,
Somebody
snow,
ordered
Knicks
Chick-fil-A.
crowd, don't matter, they getting that food to whoever ordered it. There was a man who passed out on top of a roof deck, was resuscitated by the lady in the blue short. Buddy on the right is cheering his ass off. Meanwhile, Broden said, you already put your mouth on mine. What's a little mo? I ain't gonna lie, shorty, you should have just left his ass there. That boy went be pulled up. Nah, I'm just playing. He was there in spirit. I guess Cat ain't feel like bringing his son to work today. There he goes, King Brunson. That ain't the Larry O'Brien to me, that's the Jalen O'Brunson. And the queen had grown men tearing up. Only thing I'll say is it was humid as fuck, so I know that leather was sticking to her. And you know we had to get some words from El Jefe.
Damn. You really did it, dog.
Yassi Per, we did do it. It's all love, man. Shout out to my New York Knicks. We all knew the Knicks.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a great celebration. People, but it looks like they arcaded certain places. It was crazy how they had it down, you know, in the close to the financial district. I mean, I guess it's probably a safety protocol. It's not so many things, but if you the way they was blocking out off to certain places, you couldn't really see, you know, a lot of things. So it was best to watch it on TV, and then that's where you catch everything, and seeing everybody, and also then you seen the speech when they went down to town hall. But for it to be like this for the parade, people talk about it how they want it to be longer, thought it would be more bigger celebration or just more involved with the New York City, just not New York City, other boroughs, or you come from the Bronx, or you come from the Westchester, going to Uptown. Like all that's still part of New York, and it's not just the town. And I mean, if they probably had it closer or even by the Madison Square Garden or something like that. I understand with the business right there would definitely be affected because it's hard to control a crowd of 4 million people. That's one of the largest showings or people going up to even for it to be at 11 o'clock. It ended very shortly, but it was still 4 million people turned out. Like that's a lot of people to try to control when it comes down to that part. And these things still got to take safety protocol. So it still looked like a hell of a job that us the sanitary people had to clean up because it was confetti out everywhere. It was still mess all over the city. So it's that's just I guess that's just a celebration, but I guess that's how they do things out there. Uh, it was crazy. People was still in the garbage because it was like a special edition Knicks custom made garbage, and people stealing those. People sell people selling them joints on eBay already. So hey, the city's always a hustler. Always trying to make money some way. But I think you got to read the fine print. They say that's legal. So if you get caught with that, it's actually you can go to jail. But yeah, it's great to have that type of energy. Great to have that celebration. So it's always hats off to the Knicks, man. I'm glad they got everything done. And shout out to the whole team. It's a whole team effort even from the bench players because there was a lot of role players, but then the bench came strong. So it's definitely a team player. But yes, king of the city is definitely Brunson because he brought us home to in for the game five, Knicks in five. So, and I think it'd have been a hell of a crazy even celebration if they even brought it back to the Garden. So, I guess they didn't want to do that. They wanted to, finish this up because you don't want to play around. So, but hats off to the Spurs playing a hell of a game too. Wimby, he's a hell of a player too. He's gonna be definitely a person that this is gonna last, and you're not gonna see it. You're not gonna end of him. So he's definitely come back for revenge, and he's definitely gonna improve his game. And then just the coaching wise, I had to coach Wimby and to keep his energy level up because he's always was tiring out in the fourth. I didn't had no doubt that they wasn't gonna win. Even when they came back from the 27, I was still root for them. I was like, oh no, you still so what we gotta do is tire out Wimby. They get the going, get the rolling, just tired out Wimby, just tire him out, and that's exactly what it was. He didn't show his energy level in the fourth quarter where a person who's supposed to be a superstar, they always want the ball in the fourth quarter to make sure they dominate and then take over the game, control the game. Wimby's still a young player, so he doesn't have that old school mentality or even that veteran mentality to end the game when it comes to these type of situations. But he's still got some time and he's gonna be a hell of a player. So, but yeah, that was a great series. Uh, for the Knicks. I was finally, man. Finally, it happened. Finally, it happened. So it was just hats off to see all the OGs out there too. People we thought was gonna make it happen. Stark, Stanley Houston, Hewen. Even going back, Clive Frazier. It's good to see even the old players. Larry Johnson. Sprewell, all of them. It's good to I bet the feel up there. Even in the other generation, you got Carmelo Anthony. He didn't happen, but see them be a part of it. J.R. Smith, Sean, so it's the Knicks that that would have been a nice victory if it happened when it was just close to happening, but it just never happened. But hey, you know, um, this was our year, so definitely people talking about, oh, could we do it again? If we keep playing like this and keep have these players, I see running it back. I see running it back. Or if it's just trying to take away certain things, then you know how to coach us. Now you believe in us because I think some teams slept on the Knicks and they didn't think he was there that he was going to be that good. And yes, the Knicks were that good to the point. Yes, they are champions. So hey, it's a hell of a celebration, overdue. And yeah, I'm glad. I don't know if it's true or not, but they said they're gonna give Spike Lee, he gonna give Spike Lee a ring. So they give Spike Lee a ring because that's the damn diehard fan courtside seats on the game, away games, home games. He was always there courtside watching in games, rooting them on. So and he probably was there for the first time when they won. So he remembers that. So for him to be rooting for the Knicks for that long, diehard. So yes, get Spike a ring too. So enough about sports. I got to check out some stuff on Netflix that it is insane. I usually don't really check out too much, but this one caught my attention so much. It was really I couldn't stop watching. I couldn't stop watching, and I'm talking about you know the new Netflix series. Hmm, what is up? Holly polygamy. All right, anyway, well, check it out. Check out.
Jonas. Joe? Jonas. Joe? Jonas.
Oh, everything that I am today. To my wonderful wife. Dong Din Wamomus. Happy anniversary, Joyce.
That's it, thing. Wait,
Directly to
that
No.
the storyline of that is just storyline of that is was a great storyline. So definitely Africa. Look at me. They they can have that even in Middle East too. So they don't can have multiple wives. But they played a different story. I thought maybe everybody in Africa was with it, but it definitely showed that she wasn't having it. She wasn't aboard of it at first. But hey, as long as you're taking care of the wives and and they're getting there just with the kids and everybody's getting along, I guess that's what they do out there, and that's part of their religion. So he thought it was good to have that too, but he got something else coming for him because he had a deeper story to tell when they're watching that. So I don't want to give everything away, but oh man, from start to end, crazy, 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 crazy story. Especially what the wife did, the second wife did, or even not tell it all, but you think she was the first wife, but she wasn't even the first wife. So man, he had a lot of secrets. He had a lot of secrets, and that's definitely a nice way they put the story together. So, definitely check that on Netflix. It just brought up a topic of how you can have if you did have multiple wives and that what kind of things will happen probably, or will the feelings get can I think it's just everybody has to be on the same page when it comes to that type of thing. Just thinking about now, think about Neo. Neo running around with a bunch of girls, but I think the wife is a different crazy title to have multiple especially when it comes to everything. You gotta still split everything. Everything's still signed and delivered. So it's still a big commitment and big responsibility. But the way that movie was, make sure you don't feel like nah, probably not. I'm not gonna do that. I don't, I don't want to do that. But oh yeah, definitely check out Netflix. That was crazy to see. But yeah, go check that out. All right, I think I got everything else. So let's get to some motivation. I need a motivation. This one says shifting your mindset from why this is happening to me to what is this trying to teach me. It's a total game changer. Yeah, I agree with it. Sometimes you just like, why is this? Why is it happening? Why is this? Why is these things going on? What is this going on? But then you gotta just sit back and be like, damn, what is it actually teaching me? What am I learning from this? And then when you start learning, yeah, it definitely could be, a total game changer. So, yeah, just I guess just looking at how you position things and your mindset and just making sure we are going through the things and saying, why is this happening to me? Why is it happening? And you just look around and be like, hey, what is it teaching me? What am I trying to learn from this situation? Why is God put me in this situation? What am I trying to learn? So definitely, what is it trying to teach me? And you learn from it, and definitely could be a game changer. So yeah, I agree with that. Definitely agree with that. You know. Against another one. Against another one. All right. Yeah, I think I talked about this, but I like to talk about it again. Keep showing up for yourself, man. Keep showing up for yourself, even when the results are invisible yet. Your consistency is creating breakthrough, and you can't see it yet. But yeah, definitely, consistency, y'all, and then just keep showing up for yourself. Keep trying to just get it done. Get it done. You see your own vision. You see your own vision board. You put your own drawing to the paint, and you make your own picture. So people might not see your vision, but even if you do see it, can't see it yet, but you never know. So might be right there for your breakthrough. But yeah. So I think that's all I got for you guys again. So yeah, round of applause again. 102, 102, right, 102. I'm true. So you guys don't forget to like, subscribe, and do all that good stuff for me. Check out the music that I got. Still working on some more music coming, so that's definitely, look out for that. There's definitely some more music coming. So yeah, just like everything, leave a comment. I'll still answer it, and we can talk about it. Definitely trying to get some other things that you can subscribe to behind the scenes. I'm trying to work on some of that stuff too, so look out for that. But yeah, so in the meantime, between time, hey.
I love it. You guys are so great.